Welcome to Shardcast, the Brandon Sanderson podcast. We're a bunch of mega fans giving you the news, discussion, and of course a whole lot of opinions about Brandon's works and the Cosmere. I'm Eric, and joining me is Ian.
Hey, I'm WeiryWriter.
Also joining me is Evgeni.
Hey there. I am known in the dark alleys of the Cosmere as Argent.
And lastly, replacing someone who could not find his microphone cable.
Someone who sucks.
Yes. Is Grace.
Hello, I'm GatorGirl. I know, listeners, I'm disappointed too.
David moved and then went to Costa Rica and comes back. It's like, hey, I'm going to record Shardcast. Great. And we start, and like 15 minutes before we start, he's like, hey, I have my microphone, but I can't find the cable. And also, a micro USB cable doesn't fit because this is mini USB. So it's very fun and exciting, and I'm sure you are just so thrilled to hear about it now.
I'm also pretty sure mini USBs are of the devil.
Yes. This is why we need USB-C on everything, because then we don't need to worry about this crap anymore.
Please.
Anyway, we're not talking about USB cables today on Shardcast. We're talking about more Skyward Words of Brandon. And I think this is by far the best one that we have for you. Easily. And we begin with Seattle. We're going to try and crank through Seattle and Denver today. And yeah. So take us in, Ian.
Okay. So this first one is from Marshadow. What new statement can you give us about the Cosmere that would give us a bunch to speculate? Fun fact, never ask this question because he never knows what to answer it with.
Yep.
That's true.
Generic, hey, can you tell me something about this that nobody knows about? Or questions to that effect. No longer good questions.
Yeah. Brennan goes into it with, he thinks rampant speculation about the Threnody novel would be cool. And that there are hints about it in the books, but that no one has picked up on yet. So who knows what that could be?
Let's speculate rampantly. I think so. Last time, or maybe the time before, sometime in the past, we talked about the deeper ones.
The deepest ones, not the deeper ones.
Well, the deeper ones are like the children of the deep, like they're juniors.
Yeah. And the shades are their children. It makes sense.
Yeah. The deepest one. So I thought they would have a kind of a Cosmere-wide significance. They would be like a major villain. I thought the Eyrie were worried about them instead of just regular shades.
Sure. Right.
So I suspect the Threnody novel is going to deal with them and either how they came to be, because they might be the evil or they might be the source of the evil, or alternatively, kind of what their future is, right? Because the plot of the novel right now is a bunch of people go back to the homeland and try to retake it from the evil. The resolution of that could be, well, the deepest ones are maybe defeated, maybe they leave, maybe whatever, and now they are a problem for someone else, and that someone else is the rest of the Cosmere.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know if I like you.
I have a joke theory. I know where the deepest ones live, guys.
At the bottom of the sea?
In the undersea caverns of Avia.
On Vex.
On Vax.
It's like, see, I just want the deepest ones to be more misunderstood. Like, they're not evil. Like, I don't think they're related to the
They're just misunderstood.
They're just deep, man.
They're so deep, man.
So
because
deep.
They're shades. Shades were not on the homeland. They are from the forests of hell.
Yeah.
So I don't really see them being directly related to the evil.
Unless they were all created from the same event, phenomenon, death of ambition, you call it whatever you want.
Yes, like that is plausible, but that's like two heads of the same source, not the deepest ones are the evil. Like I think there's some distinction between the two. Even if they
Sure.
like share somewhat of a common origin.
Sure. Grace, you want to rampantly speculate?
Rampant speculation. The economics and politics of silver trade on Threnody. I don't know.
Okay, let's move on.
I actually do want to mention purity. Like that totally sounds like a shard, but it's a
It
planet
does.
in the Threnodite system,
And
and
it's a
that's
weird one.
weird.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
all of them, well,
Purity does not fit the naming scheme
yeah,
of the Threnodite system.
yeah, you're right about that. I don't think Purity is going to end up being a shard, though.
It's weird though. Even if it doesn't end up being a shard, it's weird.
I will say, Evgeni, my idea could get into why silver is weird.
I couldn't find
Thankfully.
my system map.
Oh, it's
That's fine.
online.
Everything's great.
And the next question is going to come from Liz Busby.
Oh yeah.
Can Cosmere dragons breathe fire? Raffle, says Brandon. They can fly. Liz continues, because frost doesn't sound very fiery to me. It sounds icy.
Which is a valid point.
You're onto something, Liz Busby. Says Brandon. Raffle on that as well. You won't even find that in Dragonsteel, the old one, if you read it. It doesn't say.
That is true.
They have to breathe fire.
I feel like they have to.
Or
yeah.
some of them have to breathe fire. Some of them can have ice breath. Some of them can have lightning
Yeah.
breath, whatever. But
Why would Brandon make them dragons if they wouldn't have dragon-like properties? Like, he
Right.
could just call them another being, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's going to
Lizard.
be some traditional stuff because this is the one traditional race that he's putting in the Cosmere.
except humans.
Well,
Well, yeah. Yes.
and
True.
speaking of humans, Grace,
Okay, so this questioner asked, were humans the first sentient race in the Cosmere? And Brandon replied, Tide. So technically, it depends on what you count. If you count Tide for first as first.
Makes sense.
because
Well,
we have humans.
Very interesting.
Is it?
Yes, because it implies that humans and dragons were created at the same time. Is the implication I'm getting from this? Not.
Well,
Why humans
alternatively-
and dragons? Humans and Shodell.
I was going to say Shodell, but Shodell are weird in their Fane life. So, and if you've read Lyre Parginell, there's implications that the Fane life came later.
To be clear, the sample chapters of Lyre Parnell, because no one's read full Lyre
yes.
Parnell.
That
Just
that
to
part
be
is
clear.
assumed.
So
'Cause
that's pretty
Lyre
arcane
Parginell
lore,
does not
okay?
exist in its entirety.
That's
I
true.
I don't know how much the implication holds. But even then, I don't think this is that interesting. Like, I would expect most, if not all, of the Yolish races to have had been created at the same time.
But it's a different take on a very common trope is that humans are the youngest race. Dragons far outdate them.
Sure, true.
So it's interesting that no, they came in at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I can see your interest. It doesn't
It-
necessarily.
It is good to know. That's like a nice thing to know.
Sure.
All right. Kyrandor asks, was Felt Cosmere aware during Era 1? Brandon, yes. Was he directly involved in the interplanetary trade through the pits? Brandon, he was involved. Whether directly is the right term or not, I will not say. And is he a part of the 17 Shard? He has been a member of various different groups and had various different motivations over the years. I would not put him right now as a member of the 17 Shard. Kyrandor, as in like Stormlight Archive? Brandon, as of Stormlight Archive era, not a member of the 17 Shard. Obviously, well, I won't go any further on that.
You're right, because it's obvious.
Well, yeah, I guess, but
because he's interfering with
I guess that's true.
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
politics by serving Dalinar Kholin, who
But-
is a very pivotal figure.
I remember when Words of Radiance came out, and we had 2 separate Felt articles on the Coppermind, and like, there's no way those people are the same. And then it's
Yes.
like, oh, no, they are the same person. And it turns out he's just been doing a lot. My mental image is he's maybe not super important, but he's like James Bond. Yeah.
Naz is like James Bond.
Well,
Naz is less interesting than Felt is to me right now, to be perfectly honest.
But
no,
Brad-
yeah. Brandon
Naz,
I know.
called him whatever.
I know.
But-
But this is cool.
Yeah.
You know what I wonder? I wonder if one of those multiple organizations that Brandon is referring to here could be the Ghostbloods.
Possibly.
Is Felt currently working for the Ghostbloods, or with the Ghostbloods rather?
That's possible, though.
It's
Yeah.
possible. My gut says no, for reasons I cannot explain.
As I think about it, probably not, because in both Mistborn and Dalinar's flashbacks to the Valley, Felt like pretty much the only times we've seen Felt on screen, he's been kind of passive. Like he
Mhm.
does things, but he doesn't do big, sweeping, world-changing things. Like he's a spy, he's information gatherer, he is like a soldier in Dalinar's employ, and yeah, he finds his way to important people, but doesn't push his own agenda onto those people. He just kind of works with them or for them.
I mean, yeah, but for a lot of books, that's what Hoyd did. You know? Like, not doing too much and being very minor, but presumably doing other things. I don't think Felt is like super important, but this is very interesting that he's much more important than we expected originally.
That is true.
Didn't just like maybe do just one hop from Scadrial to Roshar. He's probably been to a lot of places.
Been around.
He's been around.
So this next one is from Randy D.
All right.
Can a shard just smite someone? Like, boom, you're dead, and they die. Brandon. So shards can do this, depending on where they are. For instance, Odium can't, but Endowment could. Which I love
Hell
that.
yeah.
That is interesting.
Oh, endowments.
Voice of endowment here right now.
Endowment, best shard. Come on.
Endowment is pretty great.
And Endowment is pretty great, yeah.
That. So if you go through those Nalthian customs, always declare your goods, or else endowment will wreck you.
Or otherwise, you don't go through the customs.
Just don't attract her notice, and you're fine.
That's
Well, I imagine there would probably be a limitation on this, though. Like, my thought is that she could smite people born on Nalthis who are, like, born with her innate investiture in them. I don't know if she could smite a random Scadrian who just came to Nalthis.
I think the more important thing is that you're on Nelthis. Like, once you're in the sphere of her power, like, she can do what she wants.
I mean,
That's
Couldn't-
kind of where I'm leaning as well. But also, her power is everywhere.
shards were able to spit out ash everywhere. Ruin predominantly forced the ash mounts to spray a bunch of ash everywhere, and that was with resistance. Endowment has no resistance. I don't care what investiture you have. Just like make the air really hot and instantly kill someone. Problem
Yeah,
solved.
Materialize
Like,
a rock above their head.
whoa, crazy. It's really not that hard to do when there's no Shardic opposition.
That's true.
Maybe there's limitations, but it feels like that should be very easy to do considering what Ruin did. Pumping tons and tons and tons of ash smothering the entire final empire.
Yeah.
Smothering one person, that sounds easy.
Though, to be
That's true.
fair, Ruin was using existing mechanisms to do all of that because the ash mountains were already there. So he
Well,
was
that's
just flaring them.
true, but also
But it's still a lot of power, I agree.
stupid Rashek made them, and that's just a fragment of a shard's power. Like an actual shard unopposed is ridiculously powerful.
Yeah, it's
That
like
is true.
Ruin was prevented from doing anything too dramatic because of preservation in the mists and everything working against him.
That's true. Endowment could just like change the air flows for a few seconds and cause lightning to strike someone down.
Yeah.
It's good to be reminded that even though a lot of the shards we've seen are either dead or imprisoned or inactive, they are still, for all intents and purposes, deities.
And they're mostly restricted by the conflicts that they're presently in. And if they are not presently in conflicts, it's like, hey, what's up?
Or, the fact that they are just chilling on their planet and, like, what do they care about mortal conflicts?
You gotta declare your customs. Endowment is very firm on this. You must give an endowment to a custom agency. You must bribe them. Moving on.
Moving on. Next question talks about one of my bays, Chris.
Yep.
Does Chris know the intents of the 16th shards at the time of the essays? Obviously referring to the Arcanum Unbounded essays that she writes.
Yep.
Which we know to have been written around the same time, and that time is before Sixth of the Dusk.
Yes.
Well before. It's middle
Well-
Cosmere.
So probably nowish, but like we don't know specifically.
Like Mistborn-ish, Stormlight-ish era.
Something like that.
Well, it's between Stormlight and Sixth of the Dusk, but closer to Stormlight, I believe.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say so. To which Brandon says, at the time of the essays, Chris would know all 16 intents.
Cool.
Good for you, Chris.
I want to know them all
Tell
really
us,
badly.
write it in the Nautis essay.
All
All
of them.
Definitely coming out. in
Endowment
2019.
actually killed all 8 of the other shards and just one. Like, oh, okay.
So this next question was asked by Kirandor. If the Eyrie had managed to get preservation, what would Ruin's reaction have been to that? Brandon chuckles. What would Ruin have thought about that? I don't think Ruin would have been a fan. Kirandor, would he have been able to deal with it? Brandon, deal with it. I can see potentials where he both could and couldn't deal with it. I don't think the Eyrie were 100% prepared for what they were trying to do. How about that?
I can see that. I would imagine they would have been better prepared to deal with Ascension than Vin was, but not to the extent that Ruin is familiar with his own power.
Is anyone ever 100% ready to deal with becoming a god, though?
I'm ready.
No.
I'm ready. Just give it to me.
It's like
I'll transform this realm substantially. I'm ready.
they were mostly after preservation as a means to an end.
Yeah.
Like totally unrelated to what was happening on Scadrial. They didn't really think there's a sentient force of destruction diametrically opposed to this power that is going to make problems for us if we use it.
Well, even if they did ascend and they did better than Kelsier, which is not guaranteed at all, right? Would they even have been able to leave? I don't think that's true because preservation's all invested on Scadrial.
That's
And they created the planet. So, like, I think it's difficult. It would be very difficult for them to leave without intricately and intimately knowing the power, right? And if it was just on, like, a Kelsier level, then they totally, like, wouldn't be able to. So it wouldn't have done what they wanted it to do.
I think they would have been better off than Kelsier, just because he is so tied to Ruin.
Not only to Ruin, but also he's already connected to Scadrial.
Sure.
Yeah. I find it plausible they could have gotten off-world.
Yep.
Otherwise,
Maybe.
what would be the point?
But
And-
it's a lot harder to when you invest on a planet. And I think Scadrial's is pretty special.
Yeah,
It-
but
it
they
is.
knew that going in. If they
And-
can build
and-
a device to connect themselves to a shard, they should be able to understand that, like, yo, shards get stuck to planets.
All right.
Maybe.
True.
Maybe.
But like,
it's-
would they know the intricacies of like the creation of Scadrial?
I think there is enough room for reasonable debate on either side.
Yeah.
Which is why this is one of my questions on my list that I have been meaning to ask for a long time.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah. So Kirindor also asks, the lighthouse guy, that is to say,
Rhino.
Rhino.
Thank you for saying it correctly.
Well, that's because rhino sounds dumb. Like, this is one of the situations where it's like, there's a rhino in the lighthouse. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, but you're okay with Serene and Keen?
Yeah, yes. Yes, I am. But anyway, that guy in Oathbringer, in Shadesmar. Was Irie in Oathbringer? Brandon, yes. And he was the same Elantrian that they put in the shard pool at the end of Brandon. Yes, he is the same person. Kirindor, and was he Irie before? Brandon, he was not before then. So, this, by the way, is that Hoed in Elantris that they put in the pool.
Hoed.
No. And good to know that he was not Irie before then. That's kind of interesting.
Yep.
And explicit confirmation that, this is exactly what Brennan meant when he said, our so beautiful friend.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Were there people debating that?
Not recently, but the previous confirmation was kind of implicit confirmation.
Yeah. And
Whereas
I
this
chose
is
it because of the
very
Irie part.
explicit. I think people can only join the Irie after they've gone into the shard pool.
Do you think they're strictly a cognitive organization?
Cognitive realm, yes.
Hmm.
It's Elantrians retire and join the Irie and have a second life in the cognitive realm.
I don't know about that, but I don't think we know enough to say for sure.
No, we definitely don't. But it
So
could
I'm
be.
not convinced by that. I mean, maybe, but I think there's more to that. I don't think it's that simple.
So Shalon's Ward asks this next question. Has Hoyd ever, or would Hoyd ever, dress in drag? Brennan, yeah, and he has. Shalon's Ward, Eric's going to love that answer.
Well,
Brandon. Multiple times.
specifically, this is because Josh on the Endowment podcast, legendarily garbage at Who's That Cosmere Character, guessed Hoyd and then Hoyd in drag.
And then Hoyd and drag on a horse.
Oh, right. Sorry. My apologies.
There's a theme here.
Yeah.
None of this surprises me one bit.
No, not at all. Now that he's a full Lightweaver, his disguises can get even better.
Ooh. Looking forward to inspecting every single character on and off screen.
May Aladar is secretly Hoyd.
Hey, Eleanor, yes.
Time traveling. Went back in time.
I mean, have we ever seen them in the same room?
I mean,
Moving on. Oh, Evgeni, this one makes me so angry.
oh no,
Same.
no, this one is terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're just gonna read this and not talk about it, and just move on with
Well-
our lives.
Well, I'm gonna complain about it, but
Do you have a single name that you use to refer to all singers and the listeners in the parchment, the entire species? Is the question. Yeah, I usually use listener, but that's a cultural thing, so I don't know now. I keep struggling, continues the questioner, with what to call them as species. And are they all singers? I mean, they aren't really all singers. Brandon says, we'll settle on something eventually. Okay, but we don't have anything right now. Yeah, we don't.
Brandon, yes, we do. It is so.
Yep,
A clear reading of Oathbringer makes it clear that listeners are a group of singers. The Fused call them singers.
They do. Yep.
That seems pretty. I think they would know the name of their species. Just saying. Just because some people don't like being associated with the Odium forces doesn't mean that their species is not singer.
Lady Leshwi does say that Moash is an ancient singer name.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Dawn Singer, even before the Fused happened. Whoa,
Yeah.
I think they're called singers. Whoa, crazy.
Well, like you could argue that the name of the race is Dawn Singers. And I would accept that, but arguing that it's listeners,
Well, listeners is not accurate.
no, it's not.
That is one of the permutations that is definitely not correct.
Yeah, that's like saying all humans are American. Like, no.
Really? Are you sure?
But I also would not refer to the race as Dawn Singers, because that's more referring to singers from the Dawn period.
Yeah, I agree.
The one thing I can kind of see is maybe that the Parshmen wouldn't really be like if you want to make that distinction, but
I just don't.
I think
I don't know. The Fused call them that. It seems pretty cut and dry to me.
yeah, I agree
We
with
still
that.
don't know what Parsh means.
Well, that's just a human name for them.
But
And
like, if it
humans are-
translates to singer in some language, then they're singers.
I mean, I can't imagine that the ancient human name for these beings, like during the Desolation period, was particularly culturally sensitive towards their species. Just
Well,
saying.
No. I don't know if I agree with that, because humans arrive on Roshar, and at the very beginning,
Sure.
they were friendly with the Dawn Singers.
Yeah, but
And
they
so
don't.
It could have made sense. Like, they arrive on Roshar, they find this other species. They're being informed that this other species is known as Dawn Singers, or maybe Singers, which they translate or don't translate to Parsh, even though that's a later word.
Yeah, it's like Parsh starts being used long
Around
after
the false
desolation.
desolation.
comes out.
Yeah.
Like, it's shortly before
But it could
they lobotomize everyone.
Sure,
So,
but it could still be a leftover from the Dawn Chant,
possible.
Maybe.
Yeah.
because they were still speaking variations of the Dawn Chant at that time, or at least were writing in the Dawn Chant.
I am going to argue that they're all singers. They're
Yes,
just all
They
singers.
are all singers.
Yes.
They hum to rhythms. Everyone that was not in slave form does that. That's kind of their defining feature.
Yeah.
They all hum to the rhythms. Even the listeners. They do that too. They all do that. And I don't know, it was such a great reveal when it's like in Oathbringer, they're just being called singers, and then it's like, oh, that's what the Dawn Singers are. I feel like an idiot. You know, like, that was just great.
You know, if they hum to rhythms, that makes them all rhythmatists. That was not my joke. I think that was Ben's joke. And
But you're taking credit for it now.
It is now yours. If Ben wanted his joke, he would have been here.
That's right. How dare he be in the UK and
And shopping for bolster frames.
well, that's
Accurate. But,
true. So, yeah, just Off topic for a second. The Roshar foil map is amazing, but its size is super weird.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Like, what? Why? This is no standard size. Whatever.
And I mean, all of the posters from Brandon's store are non-standard sizes.
Yeah. Well, this one is. This one's not. Ah!
Yep.
Infuriating. Yes, I am aware, audience, that these posters are not the same size. I'm well aware. Don't worry.
Grace, save us from this.
Yep, next one.
So this questioner asked, what was Palm doing during Era 1? Brandon replied, I will answer that someday, so I'm going to raffo it for now.
Brandon's still keeping Era 1 secrets because reasons.
How are you going to answer this, Brandon? We've had Secret History. We've had Palm's story. She's dead.
Palm was Luther.
Wonder if the Mistborn video game probably isn't going to happen,
No.
even though I wish it was. But he's
Yes.
toyed with the idea of turning it into a graphic novel,
Okay, all right.
That is true.
which
Yeah.
I'm taking credit for because I totally gave him that idea like 3 years ago on Reddit. But that's beside the point.
Uh-huh.
We could see Palm in this graphic novel because she would be around.
Well, that depends what century it's in and how early Final Empire it was. Because she's third generation, so.
Yes,
I think
but
he's
that's still pretty early.
Like 2nd century, I want to say.
Yeah, it was like during early Final Empire, and like I don't think Kandra grow to be that awesome in like their 1st century.
Well,
Like,
she doesn't
Details.
that awesome at the beginning.
I know this isn't one from Seattle, but I would just like to talk about one from Houston that it was on this similar vein, which was an inaudible question, and it said, Brandon said, Zane got his spike through an odd sequence of events. I'm not sure I'm quite ready to reveal yet. I hope to get that out eventually. More Arrow 1 secrets for no reason. What could possibly be the secret? I can't wait for Secret History 5. That time Zane was crazy. Wow, I'm just waiting in my seat for that one.
Because we had Kelsier, Marsh is next, Palm is apparently going to be next.
All right, next one. Questioner asks, if Odyssey and Amian had the Hell Scholar Honor Blade, could just a single Kremling transition to the cognitive realm? And Brandon, they could transition a single Kremling, but as it works now, they would probably lose contact with the host and would become broken off and no longer part of the hive. It's not truly a hive, but it would be like if your finger got cut off and sent to something like that. It would start acting independently.
I'm hoping my finger doesn't start acting independently if it gets cut off.
Well, I don't think that last part was part of Brandon's metaphor here, but yeah.
I know, but like that's the natural.
Look, your
continuation of
finger, when it's cut off, will think of itself as a finger.
That's probably
in the cognitive
true.
realm.
Yeah.
Questioner, so you would have to have the preponderance of the Odyssey and Amian transition to the cognitive realm, and the ones that stayed in the physical realm would be cut off. Brandon, yeah, it would be bad for half and half to go. Let's just say that one thing that they would love to be able to do is to have a little more versatility there. Let's just say that. Interesting.
And it is not in this question, but I think it was in the last episode where we talked about single Kremling going very far away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think we
so.
talked about that. And so this completely guts the whole Ansible theory.
Yeah. This is very cool to know about these sleepless mechanics.
Yep. They kind of need to be within the immediate physical space.
They have to be in radio range.
Yeah.
But their connection's still in the spiritual realm.
Where space doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And unless it does, which
So if
Until
a
it
Kremling
does.
gets cut off, is it just like a normal Kremling then?
What if it's a new sleepless? What if that's how they reproduce?
That's what I was thinking.
Ooh, that's
I
creepy.
don't think a single Horridling would be able to restart the cycle.
I guess that's true because
But if,
it's
like, say half of the Sleepless transitions and like half of it is left.
Well, but Brandon does say half and half would be bad.
well, in a manner of speaking, it would
No,
be
I
bad
think-
if you want to be the same hive.
No,
But I mean, I see your point.
I think it starts. I think they start acting like Kremlings as far as they are Kremlings, like because they're not like normal animals.
I don't know.
Do you think that when
Nope.
a hordling is part of the hive, it has an awareness of its distinctness that is just subsumed by the mind of the Sleepless, or
And once it is separated from the Sleepless, then that kind of overarching control goes away.
Cognitive part, yeah.
it's not like a mind is spontaneously created for the hordling?
Sure.
I mean, all of the hordlings probably have a very basic mind to begin with, like something you would expect from a Kremling, from an insect,
Yeah.
from a bug. And so, in the absence of the Sleepless controlling them all, or giving them purpose, or kind of sharing its own much greater cognitive aspect with them, then they just go back to being animals.
And do we think that if a hordling is cut off, that a Sleepless could reconnect to it?
I think so. That seems reasonable.
It
Maybe it
seems
takes some
reasonable.
work. Like theoretically, sure. Maybe it's not like an automatic process.
I think it's reasonable, just not guaranteed. Like I can see a world where once you lose it, you lose it.
Maybe it's like sewing on your finger. It's back, but it's not quite the same.
That's just
Until you get healed.
Well, I'm imagining it more like cutting off a finger with a shard blade. Like you need some kind of investiture boost to reconnect it.
Sure,
maybe?
sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree.
This next questioner asked, because of Gliss's corrupted nature as a spread of Scianot, does that mean that Renarn's swearing different ideals than the mainstream Truthwatcher ideals? Brendan, I'll raffle that for now, but there will definitely be some differences.
That is good to know.
And
Yes, it is. I don't know if we had even really considered that,
True.
possibly, but I don't recall conversations to that effect.
Although we don't know how individualized the Truth Watcher's oaths were to begin with.
Well, that's
True.
true.
my gut feeling is that they're not. Like I feel like the orders up top, so Skybreakers, Windrunners, to an extent Bondsmiths, Stonewards, have kind of the strict-ish oaths, and then the ones on the bottom are less so.
Yeah, but
looking
edge
at
dancers aren't. It's not like Lightweavers, Like Lightweavers are
think
just super
Lightweavers
weird.
are the outlier.
I think so.
Truth Watchers feel to me like the kind of order that would have flexible oaths, maybe not to the extent that Lightweavers do, but kind of in that neighborhood. Maybe the way so Lightweavers have to speak truths about themselves in a journey of self-discovery. Maybe Truth Watchers need to discover things about other people.
But it's like they're all about a journey of self-discovery.
Yeah.
It's like everything is in terms of the Knights Radiant.
Okay, that's fair.
I can imagine a scenario where it's like they all kind of swear to say, for example, to like look and observe and be sort of like observant and see things, and then after that it's more individualized in how they use what they see. Maybe, I don't know.
Like they're
I just don't think we have enough information.
Yeah.
To
Oh yeah,
say
no,
for sure.
We really don't. But
And so on that note, we're going to change the note and I don't know where where the Brandon comes from. Probably an inaudible question or just a remark.
Comes from Seattle.
But Brandon says Felt's allegiance has changed at various times during. Yeah, we'll just say that his allegiance has changed over the years. There are times he's been a rogue agent.
This is why I was thinking. Oh yeah, he's a secret agent. This is great.
Secret History Part
A
5.
rogue agent and a secret agent are very different things.
Well, whatever.
But
We don't need a
Rogue agent is
PedantiCast.
just
We don't need.
acting
We don't
independently
need a
of
PedantiCast this, Ian. That's fine. Thank you.
This next question. The Luthadel Guard in the Final Empire, the garrison leader. His name is Bavadon, which sounds suspiciously like Bavadin. Brendan. It does. Is there any connection there? Raffo.
I definitely forgot about this character.
Because I
But
think this
it's-
is an incredibly minor character.
Look.
It probably is.
Granted, Felt was also an incredibly
Right,
minor
exactly.
and so is the random craftsman called Trell on this one planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably nothing, but also probably something that we should keep in mind, 30 years down the line. When we run
my
into
gut is that no, there is no relationship between Bevadon and Bavadin.
Sure. Maybe. We'll see. Or we won't.
This next question basically talks about fortune and future sight and why Renarin's name was blacked out at the end of Oathbringer in the diagram. And Brandon says, anytime that someone else is seeing the future in the Cosmere, it's going to have ripples against your ability. Like they are... It's the same sort of thing that if once someone who has access to Adium is going to mess up anyone else's future sight in any way, because once you use that, it's going to cause you to act differently. And remember, future sight is not very good in the Cosmere anyway. But yeah, it's just going to mess things up. And they were trying to compare Renarin's abilities interfering with Odium's future sight with Electrum versus Atium. And yes.
Specifically, when Odium does the explodey version of the diagram,
Yes.
Renarin's name is in all black. Everything that comes off of him is in all black.
Yep.
So it's like nice confirmation of what's going on there.
So future sight interferes with future sight, essentially.
And there was another question asking, was the name grayed out due to a conflict of fortune with Odium? Similar to Electrum versus Adium, and Brandon just said yes. So, yep.
Cool. That is cool.
Okay.
Why don't we talk more about Felt?
Why don't we?
Yes.
I feel like talking about Felt.
Yeah. Can modern day Felt get his hands on Atium? Brennan. He wouldn't know how to try going about it. He would not be able to get a hold of it right now. It's not something he can just pop off. He would have some ideas on how to go about it. I doubt he could pull it off. So.
Felt just gets more and more awesome with this.
I doubt he could pull it off.
Well, yeah, but like, he knows a lot.
Yeah, so
Chris knows a lot. Like, I'm sure most of the universities of Silverlight know a lot.
no, it sounds like Felt knows, like, he's just not capable of it. Like, he knows where and how to get the ATM, but he doesn't have the manpower or the power or the resources or whatever.
Yeah.
Sure, that's true. Still very cool though.
Yeah. No, Seattle was apparently a Felt.
Yeah.
a
Welcome to
signing.
Feltcast. Go to your craft store and get some more Felt.
A quick question from Force Paradox. Do any of the shards regret becoming one? Yes, I would say yes.
Would you call that a force paradox? Shards
No.
are forces? Oh, all right.
Terrible.
I'm sure Aeona and Sky regretted becoming shards in the moment before their death.
Debatable. Grace, save us from this conversation.
Okay.
Yes.
Next question.
My jokes are always great. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, Steele from Warbreaker. At the time of Oathbringer, is he still at large? Brandon, Rapho, I'm afraid I will let you know the tales of all 5 scholars, probably in Nightblood, the book, when I write it. The ones you don't know already. Well, if I write Nightblood. Of the Cosmere books, it's probably the most in jeopardy, other than maybe the Threnody novel.
What?
That makes me really sad.
What? I mean, maybe we'll get a lot of that stuff in Stormlight, and he's fitting more of it in there, which is possible.
Yeah.
Because, like, Vasher and Nightblood and Vivenna are already there, and what we knew about Nightblood, Vasher, Nightblood, and Vivenna. Like,
I want to meet Yestiel, though.
I do too. I want to know more about that.
It feels like Vivenna's blade is gonna come out of that.
Right? Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, of course.
Or Warbreaker's secret history.
Warbreaker secret. I'd be down for that. Give me that. That sounds great.
Please, just give me Vasher between the Many War and now.
And then he goes to Scadrial and spikes Zane. Whoa, oh my god. The mystery is revealed.
5 scholars.
Odd circumstances indeed.
Yeah. This next one. In the original Knights Radiance, when they had squires, were all the squires destined for bonding Spren? Brandon, no, many stayed squires forever, and that was okay.
Makes
Good to
sense.
know.
There's a finite number of Spren.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Windrunners have a boatload of Spren. A boatload of squires, rather.
Families.
A big boat, a big Shadesmar boat of Spren.
Just Kaladin goes everywhere and adopts everyone.
So this next questioner asked, Allomancy is a conversion from matter to energy. Is it inherently an irreplaceable resource, or is there a process by which it's replaced? Brandon, there is a process by which it is replaced, probably referring to the metal.
Yeah, the metal. Yes. That's interesting. I think this is the first time we've heard of this. Haven't we?
I think
no. We've had words of Brennan alluding to this before, and also words saying like, "Oh no, metal is running out." But Scadrial has like so much metal that it's not really important. So
well, couldn't shards create more metal?
They could.
Like maybe that's just the process. Like,
yeah,
it doesn't need to be very mysterious. They created the planet.
Previous things is that there was a natural process that it was happening automatically.
This could be like a function of how they built Allomancy or something. I don't know.
Could be. Yeah.
Well, they didn't build Allomancy, but okay.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ish.
There isn't a correct word for that, Ian. I know. I know what you're saying.
Allomancy came into existence.
Yeah. Yes and no.
If someone from, say, Roshar traveled to the world of Warbreaker, do they have breath? No, they do not. If someone from Warbreaker leaves, they still have their breath. They would not register as being a drob for people who are looking. They would register as option C, particularly someone from Roshar who is from a primary shard world, slightly invested.
This is the first time we've heard of the term primary shard world.
I think this is very similar to major shard world.
No, I know, but it's slightly different.
It is.
Okay.
So it could be, Brandon changing his terminology. It could be Brandon just making words up.
Kind of assigning that's been really long than talking about Felt the whole time. Yeah, probably that one.
Yeah. After 3 hours of talking about Felt.
Yeah. That's cool. Good to know. I like the idea of option C. So that's cool.
Okay. The magical fish in the Pure Lake. Is their magic part of the old magic paradigm? Brandon, the magical fish are not of honor. Not of honor, not in a bad way, but there's something else going on there.
Yes, they're symbiotic bonds with Spren. This is totally cultivation.
Cultivation.
Yeah, probably.
Cultivation. I think that's reasonable.
Yep. Next question. Bendalloy and cadmium, is that going to be a part of FTL travel? Brandon, it is involved. It's involved in multiple ways. Ones that people have figured out, and ones that they have not. Cool.
I just see Allomantic FTL and I go, okay, sure, great. Can't wait to find out in 20 years.
There is nothing. Well, that's not true. Cadmium and Bendeloy and time bubbles are like my second least favorite thing to talk about magical-wise in the Cosmere.
Yeah.
Number one being iron featherchemy. Like, holy crap, I just do not care.
Fantastic. Nobody wants to talk about that. Great.
Nope,
Next.
I sure don't.
Someone's
Someone's
not
upset.
surprising in the slightest. Like,
Yeah.
the metals that deal with time are important. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So this next questioner asks, is Lahan from the Way of Kings Prime reading, which is what he was reading during Skyward Tour,
Yep.
the same one from Book 2? He has an interlude. Brennan, yes, that it's the same Brother Lahan. I knew he wasn't going to get to have a big part in the books once I moved Holmes so far off. So I gave him a nice cameo with his own interlude so that at least he would be in the books. Because in that version, he basically wandered around following Taln, complaining for the entire book.
Wow, what a compelling character.
Great.
This probably is a better plan.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Brother Lahan. Okay.
Presumably killed by, with all the crap going on.
Well,
in
I mean,
Kalmar.
he was alive, like, when Shallan was there.
Was he?
Yep. He was her kind of minder when she went to the platform to.
Oh!
He's not named.
Oh,
but
that
the
does kind of make sense
implication
that
is
he
that
would be
it's
him.
Lahan.
Oh, I totally forgot that.
I really
Yeah.
felt he was named.
I don't think so.
I don't remember.
Okay, he's not named in.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good to know.
Moving on from Roshar and still on Roshar, which
Yep.
is a joke I make every now and then.
Like every episode.
Every
just
episode.
as funny as every other time you said it.
Hey, I'm a comedian.
And we've heard your spiel multiple times.
I have many spiels.
That is true.
Why didn't we get to see Dalinar meet? Is it Gallant?
Callan, yeah.
In Oathbringer in the flashbacks. Brand says, I planned this for a different flashback. I intentionally didn't put that one in because it didn't fit the rest of the narrative that I was telling, but I will do that eventually. Is it after he arrives at the Shattered Plains? I will raffle that for now because I'd have to go look exactly at the timeline where I am slipping it in. But is it around that time? Yeah, it's more recent than most things that you are reading about. Let's say the person that Dalinar has been through most of his life would not end up with Gallant. I will get into it. I realize that there's a hole in the story and it's an intentional one. Yada yada. Whatever.
That's interesting.
So more flashbacks that will be slipped in.
Yay!
Good luck with that.
Brennan does go on to say, like, Burke didn't the flashback like he did with Kaladin in the last book, which I think is an important part of its answer.
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Cool. We're on to Denver. And you know what? It's time to start with Morfeld. These happened one day after the other, I think. If I remember.
It's like I don't think we've seen a felt question before this tour.
This is like the time where 3 people sent in the same Who's That Cosmere character, like the same day.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating. Like when you work on Arcanum, sometimes you see certain topics or like even exact questions come up multiple times across events, even.
Oh, that happens to me as a teacher. Like, why is this section being so weird? I'm pretty sure none of you talk with each other. I don't know why you're making this stupid, very specific mistake. I don't understand. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Stars align.
Moving
I guess.
on.
Okay.
Yep.
This questioner asked,
It's fortune.
Felt, was he involved with Scadrial's Adium Pit mercantile system? Brandon, let's say he was aware. Questioner, how old is he? Was he born around first era or so? Felt is a little older than that. Not a lot.
Okay. So he was probably a junior world hopper in Era 1.
Anyone else get drug vibes every time we have an Adium question now? Like,
What?
the secret Adium trade. Oh, how do you
yeah.
get Adium this in Era 2? Well, it's very difficult, but you have to know how.
The thing is, like, I don't think it was actually Atium being bought and sold. It's just it was going through the pits of Hudson. Like,
Do you want to hear
Probably,
about the Street Spice trade on Scadrial during Era 1, Grace?
The metal must flow.
Because that was mentioned once. That's fun.
Well, like, don't we like we do know that one of the kind of a big export of Scadrial was canned goods.
yeah.
As for this question itself, he could have just been like a century older. Like he could still be a native Scadrian, perhaps.
I don't.
How would he live that long without first like doing the world hop thing though?
Yeah, I don't think he was
Well,
older than a normal human. 'Cause,
Sure.
Like he was just 40 during Era 1. Like,
Yeah.
and then
I
he
mean,
world hopped.
I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities.
Yeah,
It's possible.
well, we'll find out.
I'm sure we will find out. Next one. In the Cosmere, other than Frost, have we been introduced to other dragons? Excellent question, questioner. I feel like that might be inspired by something. Brandon, there have been others around, but I don't know if there have been others around. I'll just say that. Like they could be all around us right now.
In the bushes, in the trees,
They could
behind
be a hordling.
Grace.
Am I a dragon? I don't know.
I mean, you were the voice of endowment.
True. And my username is GatorGirl, which
Is like a dragon. It is a reptile. Oh my god.
And we have previously revealed the connection between Frost and the Gator Girl.
Yes. That
Who
is.
knows? Who knows?
Yep.
It's a mystery. We'll never
It
know.
is a mystery.
Yep.
All right.
Helonian Fire asked, you said that it's theoretically possible that Hoyd could have alloyed the Laurasium with another god metal to acquire another magic. Has he done so? Brandon, he has not, because there are certain things that were preventing that from working.
What? Certain things?
Hmm.
Brandon has said that the realmatics of god metal alloys are complicated, and that you have to.
Well,
So
yeah.
It might not be as simple as, oh, let's put them both these things in a furnace, melt them down
Well,
together.
Yes. Yeah, that
Yeah.
seems likely. It's complicated sounds like a very accurate way to put god metal shenanigans. Yep, that sounds accurate.
God Metal Shenanigans is a valid answer.
Yep.
And
Evgeni, are you ready? Are you ready? For the
We-
craziest you thought felt was good. Oh man, this is the highlight for the entire tour for me.
so
this one.
it's been a little over an hour that we've been on this call, and I haven't bragged about anything. So I feel like it's time I do that.
Okay.
I was hanging out on Discord some time
Uh-huh.
ago when this tour was happening,
Uh-huh.
and some guys in the Discord chat server where I moderate were like, "Hey, we're here at the Denver thing, and we would like questions. Hey, Argent, you are an intelligent and handsome man. Can you give us some questions?" And I'm like, "Well, in the days of old, when we did the Heralds episode of Shardcast,
Mm-hmm.
I had an idea. And it is an idea that Eric flat out thought was wrong. And I did go back
yes.
to the episode and I listened
true.
to it. It is, dear listeners, if you want to go back, the 1 hour, 11 minute, and 20 seconds mark
Okay.
is where this
That's
happens.
very specific.
I looked for it, okay?
You had this
Um,
prepared before we started this podcast. You're like, I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, no, I got
really
up
listened
today.
to
I'm
that.
like, I need to find the exact timestamp of this thing. And so I did. But the
Okay.
idea was that Ishar, Herald of Luck, Binder of Gods, was maybe alive on Ashyn. And his Binder of Gods thing was, well, he bound gods, plural, so maybe he was the one instrumental in the binding of Odium with Honor's power into the greater Roshar system. And so I wondered, hey, what if the Heralds were alive on Ashyn and they were Ashynites? Eric didn't like it. David didn't like it.
No.
And I'm like,
yeah.
This is another reason I kind of regret David is not here, because I would have made fun of him for that.
No, I know. This is why I want David on the podcast, buddy. He didn't have a mini USB cable, so that, we were foiled by the stupidity that is mini USB.
Technology.
Okay, and his lack of a car today.
If it makes you feel better, I don't like it, Argent or Evgeni.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't like the Ishar.
Yeah.
Made the oath pact part.
Shush.
Let's read the wob.
And so the question I gave was, were the Heralds alive for the human exodus from Ashyn? To which Brandon says, yes, they were not Heralds then, but they all made that trip, I believe. You can't nail me down on that one, because it's possible that Ash was born after, but I don't think so.
This is insane! Insane!
Heralds are old!
So First Desolation probably happened a lot faster than we really think of it as.
I always thought that the First Desolation, like, I thought there would be some time in Shinovar, humans would expand, there would be times where there's human Voidbringers, and then after all of that, then the Heralds go to honor, and then switching occurs. That happens in a lifetime. That's what I'm assuming.
A lifetime of the people who would then later on become Herald. Like, they could already have extended lifetime.
I mean, that is theoretically possible, but I always thought that their long life was given due to their status as Heralds and not other magic prior to being Heralds.
It could be a matter of buffing their pre-existing long life abilities.
It's their long life as a herald is mostly just you're a cognitive shadow. You can't die. You can't cease to exist.
But there are plenty of beings in the Cosmere who live a very, very long time, and not all of them are cognitive shadows. So we could be dealing with a bunch of people who, through means of, let's say, Ashynite magic or their variation of the surge of progression and regrowth, live for a long time, and then they continue to live a long time after the Exodus, and then Krem hits the fan.
Yeah.
And then they become cognitive shadows, and now they can live forever.
Sure.
Until they get stabbed.
I just always thought the First Desolation would be a long time, and it's just it's weird to me.
No, I agree.
However, the only thing that makes this is cool and mind-blowing, and I don't understand why Brandon just gave us this information, because that's insane. But I am excited because Brandon said, oh, the first 5 Stormlight books are about the Knights Radiant, and the back 5 are about the Heralds. Herald flashbacks will frickin' be on Ashyn pre-Exodus. That is hype as hell.
Well, they could be.
Ash was either a baby or not born yet, so it'd have to be Taln, and we don't know how old he was.
Older than Ash, I guess.
Still though, like, seeing flashbacks of before Ashyn was destroyed gets me very excited.
Yes. I think there is a very high likelihood that we're going to see pre-Exodus Ashyn, and we're also going to have scenes where we compare that with the current Damnation.
I think we're going to go to both places.
I don't know why I said Damnation. Current. So I think we're going to see Ashyn both before and after, and we're going to see that within the Stormlight Archive series.
Absolutely.
Like, we're also probably going to see the Exodus itself.
That's likely.
That is going to be a crazy... Wow. Thinking about Herald flashbacks, yeah, there's a lot of stuff, but just seeing that moment where, like, what they did to destroy that... That's cool. Look, that's cool. I just want the First Desolation to not be like, hey, we are here for like 5 years and now let's conquer out the rest of Shinovar. I don't want that. That sounds lame. or not the rest of Shinovar, but the rest of Roshar, whatever.
It's getting
Like, that
it's getting
sounds
a little cramped up here in this tiny land. Let's take over.
You know what this WoD proves for me?
What?
That first generation of humans were bigger assholes than we thought.
Well, I mean, that's probably true. Yes. I do believe that, but I don't know. There's so much that needs to happen before Heralds can exist, because the whole point of Heralds was to stop the fused. That's what the Stormfather said. And if the humans were Voidbringers, then there wouldn't be fused, because you didn't.
What if? No. All of this is valid. What if?
I'm glad you agree.
The Heralds did not lead or inspire or even participate in the human conquering, or in the first desolation, essentially.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. Like, I'm sure there would be humans that are not aligned with those forces. I think that's totally... I mean, Shinovar probably wouldn't itself. Only the people who expanded out. And yeah, I mean, I imagine simplifying all the humans to being all evil is not accurate, right?
We're probably looking at a rogue element here.
Yeah.
Of probably a substantial size, right? Because there are quite a few Dawn Singers at that time. And
yeah,
the original human conquerors probably don't need to have been even a threat to the entire planet, right? We're probably looking at a bunch of people, let's say maybe a few hundred, maybe a few thousand. They leave Shinovar, they leave their little hole in Roshar. Maybe they slaughter a village of Dawn Singers or take over a city or something. And then the cognitive aspects of those Dawn Singers are like, what the hell? And then Odium's like, well, here, have some power. And so they come back. They assume all the humans are like that. And this kind of escalates.
That does seem like an entirely reasonable thing for Odium to be playing both sides in this.
Yeah.
I don't really know for what game, though.
The
Destruction?
Fun.
destruction. Yeah, he controls Roshar, and he can.
Yeah, but his point is to kill the shards, right? Like,
A distraction.
yeah.
It's
Maybe his whole point was to try and get Honor to do something that he wouldn't normally do.
Weaken himself by granting power to the humans.
Sure.
Or at least be distracted by helping them.
I don't know. Well, yeah. Yeah, maybe so.
Or lose faith in the right, because originally Honor and Cultivation kind of vouched for the humans.
Sure. Maybe there's like 4 factions in this first desolation. There's humans who were the Voidbringers who expanded out. Humans who were not the Voidbringers, who did not expand out and did not participate in that part.
Heralds and their friends.
Angry singers who would become the fused, and then regular singers. And the Eli Stele is not written, it's written by the normal singers and not the ones who become the fused. Maybe. Because if you just read the Eli Stele, like, it doesn't talk about the fused at all, which is why that I thought that there would be like a substantial time period, right? Of this part. That's always why I thought of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like, maybe it's just written by a different group of singers, and Roshar is big, and so lots of different things are happening at the same time.
Yeah. We are still probably looking at a loss of information.
Surely,
from that period.
I mean, again, this is literally going to be Herald flashback books in like late Stormlight Archive, and though I need to be sold on how awesome this first desolation is. That's all I'm saying. But I'm a lot more hyped to see Herald flashbacks now, let me tell you.
Hey, so this hypothetical scenario I just outlined, I realize lines up really nicely with the girl who looked up.
Explain.
So there isn't a girl who looks up. There is a fraction of all the humans who go, hey, why is there a wall?
Sure. Right. Yeah.
They go across. She goes across, finds light. They find civilization. They find something, treasure, something that they covet.
Mm-hmm.
They take it. They bring back the light. They bring back, I don't know what that something is. Maybe spren, maybe knowledge, maybe just awareness that, hey, yeah, we got a nice piece of land here, but there's so much cool stuff out there. And then the story about the girl who looked up says that the storms came as a punishment. It's probably not the storms. It's probably like a retribution for what they did in the form of the fused.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm mostly into that. I like that.
But I don't think the humans were quarantined. It's like
I think they were.
They could have gone and traveled peacefully,
Well, yeah, sure.
but
Sure.
it just
But
Shinovar
that
was
is-
land for them
No,
to
like
set.
I hear you, but that is not what the girl who looked up did. She went out and she stole the light.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And
Like
yeah,
a,
the story,
in the mythological
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Right.
the story does talk about, hey, it's not like prison walls and spikes on the inside. Yes, that suggests quarantine, but also yes, it's kind of a way to express that people were confined here, and that confinement could have been just, yeah, this is where the land is, what you know.
Yeah. I like all of this, Evgeni, but the thing that gets me, I totally believe some humans would be assholes and go out there and expand. What I don't understand is how Odium's involved in that. You know? It's that layer that's
He was their god.
Well,
well, right, and how extensive, what does that mean, you know?
for the fused at least, it's possible and probably pretty likely that some of the singers weren't super happy with the humans to begin with. Like
Probably.
they were just like, we should not let them in at all. And then honor and cultivation, their gods were like, no, they're cool, come in. And then as soon as the humans did something to kind of prove them right, they were like, oh well, honor and cultivation, they were wrong. They don't trust, like they don't have our best interests at heart. And there's this other god over here who is telling us all this stuff that we already believe.
Yes. My issue with that version is that the Stormfather says, hey, a long time ago there were the souls, a bunch of angry souls, and they got infused by, like, to me that the chapter 38, was it?
Yeah.
Sequence.
38.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Read like the singers who would become the fused were already killed before their contact with Odium.
It can't have been too long, or they would have.
Well, no, not too long. Like he could have been waiting there. He could have been expecting that. Hey, I made these humans go and kill a bunch of innocents or whatever, and now I'm gonna hang out in the cognitive realm and wait for the souls of those who died to show up to offer them power.
Okay. And the innocent dawn singers who weren't offered that and weren't killed, they're like, no, Odium's obviously bad. What are you guys doing? What the hell, man? Like, that's entirely reasonable, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can totally see a situation where it was like 100 humans go out and they slaughter some, and then they're like 10 fused and they come back and they slaughter the 100, but another 1,000 as well, and then even more humans go across, and then even more singers join the war, and it kind of escalates in stages like that.
You
until
just
it's
think
complete.
that they would realize, wow, those human void bringers, that's bad stuff, and like, wow, you guys are also terrible, you know, like with the fused. I don't know.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They weren't
These-
terrible at the beginning. They
if-
were
Yeah.
the spirits of their friends and their kin who sought retribution for having been murdered.
Yeah. Or if Odium was inciting the humans anyways, he could have led them towards a group of singers that he knew were already dissatisfied with humans and more likely to take him up on his offer.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. This is all very interesting, and I feel like this will be explored in great depth. I imagine.
Big question.
But this is mind-blowing. This is great. This is the episode title, and it took over an hour for you to get here, but I'm so glad you're here, because we're not changing the order. You're getting them in chronological order with when they are in the signing, okay? But for the most part.
Okay.
Merry belated Christmas.
Well, yeah.
Or happy belated holidays.
Quite belated.
But
Cool.
Next one.
take us away, Grace.
Yeah.
This one, asked by Discord Bondsmith. Ash is a Lightweaver, the 10 Knights Radiant books, and Ash is going to be a character. She can't be a Lightweaver? Brandon, that's a Raffo, but you were noticing something real.
Good point. We've all noticed.
It's been pointed out multiple times that, and I think it makes sense, because Ash of the modern days is not the person she was when the Heralds were formed.
None of the Heralds are.
Yeah.
Except
True.
the best one.
No, Taln is close enough that like he still is a Stoneward. So
When he's lucid.
when he's lucid.
Right. I think the theory is that somehow Ash becomes a Dustbringer, and it's a
Yep.
Dustbringer book.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've never liked that theory, but I think I'm going to be wrong.
It's a viable theory.
It's a viable theory. I just have never liked it. I don't like the, oh, it's so convenient. There's one of each order, but I know I'm going to be wrong, so.
But, I mean, Nail has a Spren, and so that could be foreshadowing something like that. And, you know.
Yeah.
She's just
I think...
joining a different order.
Right. Which, I mean, should theoretically be possible, right? I think, though, the previous sort of Brandon where it's like, man, shouldn't the first Desolation be longer? We can not like something, but it still might be really awesome in practice.
I know.
So.
That's just always been a theory I've been opposed to.
Yeah.
And
But it just has to be a theory that we sell, that Brandon sells us on, and if it's dumb, don't worry, we'll still be here in 20 years, probably. And we'll complain about it with you. What's up?
Or we might be in VR by then.
Yep.
And then we'll complain around you.
You really will be watching us at that stage. We'll actually be in your room watching you. Yeah. All right. Next one. This was crazy to me. The Necromancer's Pizza. How's that going? This is referring to a story that Brandon did briefly called Death by Pizza. Brandon, it's going really well, though the pizza part is getting written out a little bit because he's turning into a necromancer heavy metal singer. And the pizza was so much fun, but it's not working as well as I wanted it to. But the book is working really well, so I would expect that one to come out sooner rather than later. It's turned into a really cool thing with a lot of interesting aspects to it.
Wow.
Brandon's always
actually,
thinking about 50 different stories.
Yeah.
So,
Actually, we should say, so we are recording this a little bit before State of Sanderson 2018.
Yeah, and probably, Brandon, if it is actually going to be a thing, probably already talked about it. We've probably already done podcasts that you've already heard.
Yeah.
So
but right now, this is really interesting to us.
This is crazy. On December 26th, this is very interesting.
it is not December 26th.
no, it isn't. I was like, did I
December
miss my
16th.
last final and my flight home?
December 16th.
Dates.
Numbers are hard.
26th, we would have
I'll
already
have
read
you
the State of Sanderson.
know, I have a master's degree in mathematics. I think I know what numbers are. Thank you very much. But no, I just can't read. December 16th. Whatever. It's in the same order of magnitude, okay? It doesn't matter. Yeah.
But yeah, Death by Pizza. What was the original prompt? Like, what was the...
A necromancer
pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
That's it. That's
There
all
was
I know.
there was something about the way he was getting his power.
I don't know. I
Well-
barely remembered that this was a thing.
Through unlimited topics. Ah! That- No. I'm very curious to find out if my audio levels really spiked really high. And how well my new audio technique is going.
I mean, it sounded okay to me.
Great. Well, Skype always does things, so you can tell us.
Brandon hasn't said. Let's see. Yeah, it's just Necromancer Pizza Delivery Man. That's all he's ever said.
Great. Who's now, but Necromancer heavy metal singer. What do we know about it? Whatever. Cool.
This is from Nashan Elin. The Sleepless. If they got enough hordlings, how big could they get? Brandon, there is a limit. It is larger than you've seen on screen before. Nashan, Chasm Fiend size? Brandon, Rapho.
I think we referred to this in our last few episodes.
I
but good to
feel
see.
like we did, yeah. And we talked about the mummy briefly.
So
Oh, we did talk about the mummy.
Right.
That's right.
Okay. Hemalurgy. Hemalurgic spikes degrade very quickly, but ferrochemical metals can hold on to their charge forever, apparently. Is that just because hemalurgy is corruptive? Yes, says Brandon, though I will not say forever. But it's much slower. Yeah, way slower. It's just the nature of herochemy and hemalurgy, which
Cool.
I think it's cool. Yeah, it makes sense. Hemalurgy leaks.
Yeah, but this is the first time we've heard about ferrochemy leaking, I think.
Yes.
That's more a function that everything degrades over time.
Yeah.
There is
Well.
some ruin in there.
Yes, but it's more than just the degradation of you put a memory in, you put it back in, right? Like just if you just buried metal mines and somehow you live 10,000 years, how good would those metal mines still be 10,000 years later? I think that's new.
Yeah.
I think it's more on an astrological time scale.
Maybe.
A normal person's lifetime, it's not going to make an appreciable difference.
Astrological time scale and geologic time, that's vastly different than even the time period of the entire Cosmere at this stage.
In the same way that like mountains are not eternal, right? They still erode, but over a very long period of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
This reminded me of that one WAB I got from Jordan Khan on ferrochemical wear and tear.
Uh-huh.
Like when you put investiture in and pull it out, does it change anything? But it doesn't talk about anything of relevance.
Cool.
So this next question is, Yolen is one of the oldest worlds. So did they develop a method of traveling to other worlds like space faring? Brendan, no. Good question.
Huh. So they're kind of stuck.
Or just
Ah, cool.
cognitive realm stuff,
Yeah,
I guess.
They would have gone through cognitive realm.
And yeah, we have no idea what their current status of that world is post shattering and things like that. Like,
And
very
it's
unclear.
hidden, apparently.
Yeah, all
Um,
very weird.
to reference the Lyre Pertinel sample chapters again,
Uh-huh.
they are at a Bronze Age level of tech.
Yeah.
As
So
of that time.
As of that time, which was shortly before the Shattering, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that Bronze Age people do not have space travel.
Well, yeah. But yes.
Well, at that time there, but it's been a couple of years since the shattering.
Yeah, but I think the implication here was that early Yolen, like before the Shattering.
yeah, that's what the spirit of the question's kind of about. But
Yeah, like
That's not what I'm reading.
It's not really asking about modern Yolen, in my opinion.
I think it is. I think it's saying, hey, this world is so old, there has been enough time. Have they developed space travel?
maybe.
But
I don't
either
know
way,
if
no,
Brandon
it's a good
took it
question.
that way.
Yeah. That needs extra clarification, I would
Well,
say.
We'll ask this again in a
Yeah.
few decades.
Yeah. Then maybe we'll have Dragonsteel 1 by that time. Yay, guys. Maybe. And our last one for today, guys.
About Eric's favorite topic.
Yeah. You've mentioned that the Lord Ruler had children? Have we been introduced to any of them in the books? Brandon, no. But they're out there? Brandon, well, they were. It's been a while. Descendants, potentially. You have not met any of the Lord Ruler's children.
Okay.
He's also said explicitly that that there are descendants of the Lord Ruler, not descendants potentially.
I think this is just like Brandon, like, oh yeah, he probably had kids at one point, but he never really thought it through that, hey, people would be interested in these people.
I am.
Yeah.
They're
Look, Eric, stop being interested in other people's kids.
Look, I'm gonna be interested in other people's kids when they're potentially full ferrochemists and full allomancers, okay? That's just a fact. All right?
Yeah, you tell that to the feds.
I will.
Technically, is it as bad if there are other people's dead kids?
Yeah, they're dead already.
Or is it double worse?
I mean,
I don't
Eric
even know
didn't
where we're
kill
going
them,
with this
so.
anymore.
In a dark place.
In a
I mean,
very dark place.
Technically, everyone is someone's kid, so
That's true.
Aphrodite is not.
Yeah, well, that's not a person.
How dare you insult my religious beliefs?
There's room for debate there.
I thought your religious beliefs were in Aiden Alcium.
That's classified.
That's classified.
I thought
He's
your
a rogue
religious
agent
beliefs
like
were
Felt.
Worshipping Yasa.
He's a rogue agent like Felt.
It's true.
Accurate. All right, guys. Well, we are going to have one more of these. And there was a late announced signing in Idaho Falls on December 29th, and we'll talk about it then. And
Which also literally happens every year.
yeah, Brandon has family up there, so that's why that
Oh.
happens. So I think that'll wrap up our Skyward Words of Brandon, finally. But you gotta admit, this one was pretty good. The other 3 episodes, less spicy, but this one was the spicy one.
Yeah, so we have 3 more Skyward events,
And they're pretty short, so we can crank through
and
them.
maybe we're gonna lump up Idaho Falls. With
yeah.
them. We'll see.
Oh, well, definitely. I think we can. All right, guys, it's time for Who's That Cosmere Character? And we don't get a jingle anymore. So, yeah, that's what you get.
Wah, wah, wah.
This video's been flagged due to you.
That just means that someone has to compose a new jingle for us.
Do it. I'm looking at
Yup.
you. Yeah, you know who you are.
Yep. All right, Grace, take us in.
okay. Oh, you know how this is played. You send me an email with 5 clues and a Cosmere character. I will read the clues aloud, and after each clue, each of our cast members has a chance to guess who the Cosmere character is. This first one was sent in by The Universe is a Hologram.
I
first-
gold by.
How do you know that?
The first clue is this character appears in only one Cosmere novel.
6 of the Dusk. Wait, that's not a novel.
That's
Not
still
Six
your
of the
answer.
Dusk.
Whatever.
Susabron.
It is not Susabron.
Straff Venture.
It is not Straventure.
That's definitely false. He was
only
in
ap-
2.
But he appears on screen in 1.
He totally appears on screen in both Final Empire and Well of Ascension.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah. I remember. Okay, never mind.
We're
Shut
doing
up.
great so far, guys.
Clue 2.
As Argent slouches in the corner of his screen.
Clue 2.
You're welcome, viewers.
This character has royal blood.
Oh, who's that guy? That thing?
That's
Oh, that
real
one.
descriptive.
Didn't King Dedalin's son? Don't they have a son? Isn't there a son? I'm pretty sure there's a son. I think I even wrote this Coppermind article too.
Sereni.
It is not Serini.
Fafin.
What was that name?
That's his name.
Wow.
No, that's the other sister's name.
Oh,
Oh, right.
can you
right,
say that again,
right,
Ian?
Fafin, Fafen.
It is not Fafin. I just think that's an amusing word to hear you say.
Okay.
Quit faffing around, am I right?
I thought about that the moment after I said it.
I'm sure that character gets that a lot.
I mean, they don't speak English there, so.
Isn't she also like a super religious, like
Yes.
in
Yes,
a
she's a monk.
Yes.
monk,
Yeah,
she's
an Idrian
super
monk, yeah.
serious, religion. Yeah, I doubt.
I also totally wanted to say Argent.
Yeah, I almost did too. A little earlier, yeah.
Siri
it's
is
like-
probably the only person in her life that would say that to her.
Okay, all right. I think the son of King Dedalin starts with an R.
What if
Is that
it
all
does?
that all you know?
And I think it's something like Renaud, but I don't think that's correct.
I'll give it to you. His name was Ridger.
Oh, all right. Okay, all right. Yeah.
I'll be generous for once.
Wow, so generous. Also, I just need to check real quick and see if I did in fact write the Ridger article.
The
on the
other
Coppermind.
clues were 3, this character is male. 4, this character has no spoken lines. And 5, this character is related to multiple major characters.
Also, I'm wrong. David wrote this article.
Good thing he wasn't here.
That's right.
Well, if he was, this wouldn't have been the one we were doing, so.
Oh,
Well, that's true. Right.
All right.
I got the first letter right. I knew who it was. King
You
Dedalin's
were-
first son.
You were close enough that I figured I'd give it to you. You had the
That's
and a good description.
that's
so.
very generous.
You needed the repeated vowels, consonant sounds. Ridger.
What?
That's totally the Nalthian thing. Repeated vowels.
No, but his
repeated
name is
consonants.
literally Ridger, and it's not a repeated sound.
That's not an Nalthian thing. That's Dataliers.
Yeah, that's a Hallandren thing.
Landrin.
That is most definitely an Idrian thing as well.
Baffin, Vivenna, Cicerina.
Dedalin.
Well, there are, yes, but they are not.
Ridger doesn't qualify.
They're not.
As an R at the
uh,
beginning and end. It's close enough.
That's
not
a
subsequent.
Rosharan thing. Moving
Ridger is a
on.
Rosharan name. Okay.
Cosmere names.
This next one was sent in by Lady Lameness.
Oh
Oh
god.
no.
Is this the oh no. Is this the one she recently sent in? I don't know what it is. She doesn't tell me anything, but
Okay.
she does this to destroy me. I believe if I'm remembering this correctly, she sent this in months ago, forgot about that she sent it in, and
This is
saw a
that one,
document of it, and then sent in another one, which Ben then replied to her.
This is that
harder
whole
one.
email chain. It's
Yeah,
the one
and this-
she
this-
wanted, so I went
yeah.
with this one.
I know she went with the harder one. I have no idea what it is.
All right.
I just give up.
Clue 1. This character is a slave.
Oh no. He's
It
a
is-
slave.
It is that one slave from Kaladin's flashbacks who is female and she gets caught in a trap. And
Do you have a name?
Do you know me? Kaladin experiences this flashback in part 5 of Oathbringer. I know
Okay,
that.
okay. All right. Is a slave or was a slave?
No.
The clue says this character is a slave.
You know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go with menace. Because
It is-
all the ska are slaves.
It is not Menace.
Okay. This is debatable about whether this character is a slave or not. 'Cause
Okay.
I don't think they would think they are a slave,
What?
but I would cast us. And it's the Sion that Hrathen has, who I think is named
Okay,
Mai.
all right.
It is not May I or that's
Okay.
Sion.
I'm going to check if that's actually that Sion's name.
Evgeni?
I don't have a better description of my guess.
I'll just go ahead and say that's not.
Okay, good.
Not that
in a,
one person
I'm
in that one
generous
time.
mood today, you guys.
Wow. You're in such the holiday spirit of
I
being
am.
generous.
Right.
All right. The next clue. This character is not a people person.
That's specific. Vasher? Zahel?
It is not Vasher.
Interesting.
Technically, Ardents are
Yes.
slaves.
That's why I said interesting.
All right. Alethi would consider them slaves, right?
They're outside the slave system.
Well, that's true.
They're Ardents. Like
They
They're
are.
owned.
They are.
I'm sorry, when you're owned by someone,
Yeah. Yeah.
like,
yeah, it's like yes, we would consider them slaves. They
I
are
mean,
not
no,
considered
even
slaves in world.
I think even Shallan says, "Hey, they're practically slaves."
Practically.
welcome to Slave Cast.
And
No,
I did
no.
check Hrathen Sion is unnamed. So
Okay, well, there.
Not a people person. I mean, I guess being a slave doesn't really improve your.
Kaladin?
It is not Kaladin.
Technically, it is a slave.
If you're reading
Present tense.
Bay of Kings, he is a slave.
Present tense.
Cosmere exists outside of our time stream. It is always present tense to talk about the Cosmere.
What? No.
That is how literary discussion happens. You always say is, not was. We've had this conversation.
I know we have.
This is
Cool.
why the cover mind is in present tense.
Mostly.
Who still needs to guess?
I
Evgeni?
do. Yeah. I don't have good guesses though, so I'm just gonna piggyback on the Argent thing and go with Kaddish.
It is not Kaddish.
I know Lady Lameness specifically made this hard. I know this for a fact.
The next
She
clue.
was far too pleased with herself.
The next clue. This character lives in an isolated community.
Is it Fafin?
It is not Fafin.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to guess it.
Wait.
I think I know who it is, but
Garanid, the one Ardent on is that the right one? There's two. I always
them.
remember Garanid and not the other ones.
One of
It
them
is-
is Garanid,
It is
Yeah.
not Garanid.
Is
but
it
they're
Gar-
both Ardents.
Yeah. They're in an isolated community and the scientist one was not a people person. But wait, that's not that's one's not Garanid. Garanid's the guy.
The other one starts with an A.
I don't remember her name.
Yeah, well, rough.
does Argent remember her name?
No, do you know me? I don't know names. My guesses for this show are: hey, this one character that appears on page 364, and this character says this thing about, like, I know all the details around
This is
the character.
still better than Hoyd and Drag.
On a horse. Isolated community.
Shinovar, you're the first desolation. The Heralds. Because they were in an isolated community and maybe were enslaved.
I mean, Shinovar is pretty isolationist.
Are
It's
there
true.
are there slaves on White Sand? No, right?
Wait. Oh. I have a guess. But I swear to God, if it's the Flamespren lady, Ardent,
I'm
gonna
totally
be
gonna
pissed.
guess the Flames friend.
Great, I'm glad you know her name, because I don't.
So it's not the person I thought it.
Do you have a
Was.
guess, Evgeni, or do you want to pass?
I want to pass.
All right. The next clue is this character has read works by Yasna Kolin.
Oh crap. That's so specific. Oh
Okay.
no.
So the person I think it is the Ardent reading the
Elista.
Pride and Prejudice.
It is Alista.
Okay. By the way,
I don't know
kept thinking
names.
Aelita for her
Evgeni.
name, and I was like, that's not it. But the Argent you were thinking of, Eric, is Ashyn.
Oh, right.
I
remember, like, it's like every other year I wonder who that person's name is, and I always forget it. This has happened at least 3 times to me.
All right. And the final clue was this character is a diachronic linguist.
What?
That would have been 100% useless to me.
No, because like she's translating the Don Chant. That
Yeah.
might have,
Oh, sure.
it would have ruled out Ashyn.
That's true. Yes.
Great.
Well, great. Thank you, Lady Lameness. And also, Mr. I don't know names, Argent.
Look, I commissioned a painting of Alista, okay? That's why I know her name.
Well, aren't you fancy, Mr.
I also
Fancy Pants?
Don't know how to spell her name.
Oh my
Alista
God.
is great.
How do you spell that Cosmere character's name? That's
Oh, I haven't-
Lista.
Oh, yeah.
I
no.
spelled it with a single L.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so I
You're being
haven't uploaded the thing on the Coppermind. But by the time
Oh.
this airs, it will be uploaded.
Good job. I mean, I'm good at spelling, so that's not a problem.
I am good at spelling.
Yeah. But the problem with that, if we
Yeah.
do a game show thing of how to spell Cosmere characters, is that if we do Aeonic ones, we're just completely screwed, because then we're just arguing over the pronunciation.
No, Aeonic names are easy to spell.
False.70shard.com! Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, and give us a review on iTunes, and we will see you all later.
Bye-bye.
Something.
Bye.